let us talk a little bit more about Substrate Navigator. The Substrate Navigator is a part of Calibria and Sentio graphical user interface. It gives us a quick access not only for the navigation across the calibration substrate, but also to some very key parameters related with every calibration standard on this particular calibration substrate. So what we can see here is, first of all, is the multi-touch. We can move it around and be focused on one or another particular element. The calibration substrate what we use on this system is AC2V2 and with a special ID. And this is ID of this calibration substrate. Why we use that ID? Because Sentio tracks the lifetime of every calibration standard from this calibration substrate type. So once you put a calibration substrate on a Sentio machine, you key in the ID number of this particular calibration substrate. So you may have 5 different substrates of the same type, and Sentio will remember each of them and track the number of touchdown of every individual calibration standard here. For instance, what we see here is that we have an open standard which is marked as a blue element, we have a short standard which is marked as a red element, and we have a load standard which is marked here as a green element. All of them were used already for the calibration process. They are selected by a selector as a circle, tells us that this standard will be picked up for the calibration, and we already executed several calibration floors on this machine. So the lifetime of the standard reduced. And we display the lifetime is the same way as the charge of your battery. With every next touchdown the calibration standard, the lifetime is reduced by count of 1 and means that the juice of your battery reduces as well. So let us see what we have on this particular calibration standard. So the default value of the lifetime is 20 touchdowns. This is a very conservative estimate. When we use a soft contact feature on MPI machines, you can use the calibration substrate for more than 100 touchdowns. And we did these experiments, even more than 500 touchdowns is also applicable. So out of 20 available touchdowns, we have only 7 touchdowns left, which means that it's over 50% of the lifetime of the standard is used. Same for the short. So the short was used 8 times, so 12 standards, left 12 touchdowns, and also 12 touchdowns of this open element. And we also have a standard which is completely used up. For instance, like this one. So it doesn't have any remaining elements, which is any remaining touchdowns. So 0 means it's completely empty. So we cannot use it anymore for the calibration process. And Sentio will select the next standard from the line when we start the calibration process automatically. Let us check why we cannot use this particular calibration standard, because as I previously said, it's used up. First of all, I would like to move to this standard and see what is this quality. And you see that it's really demolished standard, so people were doing a lot of experiments here. I don't really want to use it for the calibration process. That is why its lifetime is already over, and that's exactly what we see from this map. And we moved to it, and Sentio immediately switched to another through standard out of the line to be used for the calibration process, because as we mentioned before, the lifetime of the standard is over. Actually, I can even mark the standard to be very bad, so it should disappear from our map. So it's simple like that. We mark it as bad, and it's completely removed from the map, and this record is taken in the database, and anytime we put this calibration substrate back on the auxiliary chart, system will know that that standard from this particular calibration substrate is not going to be used for the calibration process.